We are live. Hey, how are you doing? Lee Hayward here with another video Q&A for the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, and we're also streaming to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. Welcome to our chat today. Glad to have you joining in. And I'm going to be hanging out here for the next hour answering questions and topics of discussion that you have related to fitness and nutrition, health and wellness, any specific challenges that you may have when it comes to your workouts, with your eating, with building muscle, losing fat, any of those specific topics or questions. If there's anything you would like to discuss, type that into our chat window, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out over the course of our video chat today. And as you're popping onto our live stream, please let me know if this is coming through loud and clear and you can hear me and see me. I always want to do that mic, video, audio check. The regulars know the rigmarole. I always do that beforehand just to make sure that it is coming through clear, because for some reason I'm a couple minutes late starting the stream here. For those of you who are watching live, my video wouldn't load. I had to reboot my computer, but it seems to be working fine on my end. Fingers crossed it's coming through loud and clear on your end. But if you can let me know, I would greatly appreciate it, just to make sure that this is working. All right, see, we got several people popping onto our live stream here now. Good stuff. We have Robert joining in. Good afternoon, Robert. We've got Private Fortune joining in. Hello, welcome. We've got Carlos joining in. Good night for Carlos. All right, Carlos must be over in, I would assume, Europe or somewhere that area, if it's in the nighttime for you. So whether this is morning, noon, or night, welcome to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat. And again, I'm going to be hanging out here answering questions and topics of discussion that you have related to fitness and nutrition. And before we get into that, just want to make sure that it is coming through loud and clear. So for those of you who are watching now, if this is coming through, you can hear me and see me, the audio is coming through loud and clear on your end, just type into the chat window that it is coming through loud and clear. If you could do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. All right. Good stuff. All right. Loud and clear, loud and clear. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Excellent. All right. AJ joining in, and Mr. Lee is in the building. Yes, I am. AJ is in the building as well. Glad to have you joining in. And Robert saying it is loud and clear, loud and clear. Good. All right. Appreciate that. I always want to make sure that it is coming through before we get into it. So one thing that I want to kind of address now is this week, I have a brand new podcast coming out that I did with one of my coaching students, Jeff Samatero. He helps out with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast, and he also helps out behind the scenes with our VIP coaching program as well. And this is a good one. And for those of you who have been in the fitness game for a while, you'll definitely want to check out the latest episode of the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast. It's not published yet. I'm currently putting the final touches on it, but I will have it published now over the weekend. But this one really dives into how you can focus your training depending on the specific goals that you're trying to achieve, whether that is building muscle, whether that is losing fat or improving your strength or athletic performance. Whatever specific goals it is, it really focuses on how you can dial in your training to focus on those specific areas rather than getting kind of lost in the shuffle. Because a common thing that I see with a lot of folks is they're chasing the red shiny ball when it comes to fitness. You know, like they'll probably start working out, following a particular program, maybe making some good progress with it, and then all of a sudden they see something pops up in their social media feed and they say, oh, you know, hey, that looks cool, I'd like to try that. And then they watch a YouTube video showing something else and like, oh, I want to try that one. And, you know, maybe they see someone who's really strong and they say, hey, I'd like to get really strong too. Or they see someone who's really ripped and say, hey, I want to get ripped too. And they're bouncing all over the place and not really chasing one particular goal. They're kind of like, you know, chasing the red shiny ball, if you will, going all over the place with their fitness and nutrition. And while it is good to have, you know, I guess the variety, there is a time and a place for changing things up. You need to have a singularity of focus if you really want to maximize progress in any one area. And this is common, you see, especially with in the bodybuilding world, where people are kind of struggling, like, do I get bigger? Do I focus on fat loss? Do I focus on strength gains? Do I focus on conditioning? Like, and there's a time and a place for each of these training phases. And that's what we really focus on in that particular podcast, and help you zone in and focus on what's most important at this stage of the game based on your current situation and ultimately your long-term goals. And if you've ever struggled with that, like chasing multiple goals and not really making any progress in one particular area, feel free to share that in the comments. Just let me know if you've kind of been caught up in chasing the red shiny ball when it comes to fitness programs. And I'll be honest, I've gotten caught up with that. You know, like it's so easy to do because we have information overload. There's so much coming at us, and it's hard to really focus in on your goals, and what it is that you ultimately want to achieve long term. And sometimes you have to be willing to make some short-term sacrifices for the long-term gain. Like, prime example, if your main goal is to fill out your frame with lean muscle mass, get bigger, get stronger, sometimes you might have to sacrifice some conditioning in the process. You know, like, you're not going to be ultra six-pack ab shredded if you want to maximize size and strength gains, and vice versa. If you want to maximize the conditioning and the fat loss, then you're not going to be optimizing the size and the strength gains. You know, there's a little bit of a trade-off for it. And in the world of bodybuilding, this is kind of built in, especially with competitive bodybuilding. You know, like, you have your off-season mass building phase, and then you have your pre-contest fat loss conditioning phase. And they're two separate phases, two separate goals, and you have to go through those phases in order to maximize progress. You know, like, if you're trying to build muscle, then you can't be chasing fat loss. If you're trying to get lean, then you can't be trying to maximize strength and size gains. You have to prioritize. This also applies when it comes to sport-specific goals, right? If you're trying to maximize strength in a specific sport or activity, you're probably going to see some trade-off in other areas as well. And this is something that we really dive into in that podcast. So just want to give you a heads up. That one will be coming down. This is going to be the next podcast on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast. And if you haven't already done so, you should go back and check out some of the past ones. I mean, we've got over 40 episodes of really valuable content. I mean, some of them I've done solo, some of them I've done with my co-host, Jeff Samatero, some I've done with my coaching students, right? Just sharing real world fitness and nutrition advice to help you to dial in your training and nutrition and become the best version of yourself. So if you haven't done so already, check out the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast. It's on YouTube. I mean, that's where I post the video recordings of those podcasts up there on YouTube, but it's also on most of the major podcast platforms as well. It's on iTunes and Spotify and Amazon and a bunch of the other podcast platforms. I mean, whatever your favorite podcast platform is, just do a search for Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding, and it should pop up there, and you'll be able to download and listen to them. Or, of course, you can check out the videos on YouTube. I personally like listening to podcasts, or watching podcasts, if you will, on YouTube. I find that's my favorite platform, but I know a lot of people like to listen to them while they're driving, you know, maybe download it through Spotify or something like that. You know, listen to it while you're at the gym, or if you're out going for a walk or doing cardio or something like that. It's a great way to, you know, multitask in a productive way, where you're driving, you're getting in some good, valuable information there, rather than just randomly listening to old classic rock on the radio. Hey, nothing wrong with classic rock on the radio, but sometimes you can make better use of that time and focus on getting some valuable information that's going to help you move forward with your fitness goals. So again, if you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe to the podcast and take advantage of all that value that we've been posting up there. All right, so let's see. Who do we have joining in? We have Ron joining in. Welcome to the video chat, Ron. Glad to have you joining us. We've got Kenny joining in saying, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. My inspiration growing up and the reason I picked up my first weight at 13, the Iron Legend. Yeah, that was quite a shocker for sure. And I think everybody to some degree has been influenced by Hulk Hogan, especially if you were involved with fitness throughout the 80s, you know, even in the 90s and stuff like that. I mean, that's when I was getting started. And I can remember watching, wrestling, WWF, later WWE and WCW and all the different wrestling, but seeing Hulk Hogan. And of course, remember the Hulk Hogan fitness kit that he had, the little plastic dumbbells and the bandana and stuff like that. I can't remember what it was called now, but the Hulkamania fitness kit. I mean, how many people had that? And it was just an inspiration. Now, I mean, as far as like quality fitness and training advice, there wasn't a lot of that there, but the motivation, the inspiration, and just the drive was there. I mean, and he was certainly an inspiration to literally millions of people, myself included. So to hear about the big Hulk passing on, I mean, that was certainly a shock for sure, right? I wasn't expecting that, but hey, it just goes to show you never know when your time is up, right? So make the most of it while you can. Who else we got joining in? We have Johnny joining in from over in the UK. Welcome to the video chat. Glad to have you joining in as well. So I know we have several regulars tuning in right now. And if you're a regular, welcome back. Always nice to have the regulars joining into our video chats. And if you're brand new, welcome to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chats, right? It's always nice to have new people joining in. And if this is your first time tuning into a live stream, let me know there in the comment section. I know a lot of people like to tune in and catch the replays of these, but if you're watching in for the first time live, you get to participate, right? That's the cool thing about these. If this is a two-way conversation, so whether you're watching in on YouTube, you're tuning in through Facebook, let me know there in the comment section. And of course, if there's any questions, feel free to post them there. So this is Johnny's first time. Congratulations. Glad to have you joining in. And just curious, Johnny, like, what's your main fitness goal that you're working on at this stage of the game? Like, please share. Let us know what it is you're working on. And of course, if there's anything that I can do to help support you with your fitness journey, let me know there. We can have a chat about it. Okay. And while I'm waiting for a few questions and that to come through, because I know people are typing them in there now. I see that. Johnny saying, thanks. You're welcome, my friend. One thing that I just want to share, like my fitness journey to kind of show how this can evolve over time. Like when I started getting involved with fitness, there's usually some pain revolved around getting started with a fitness journey. Now, if you're starting off young, the pain could be peer pressure or being bullied or social pressure. And that's exactly what it was for me. Now, if you're starting your fitness journey later in life, the pain could be the pain of being overweight, out of shape, having health issues, and having to deal with that and wanting to start again. And it's not necessarily like one is right, wrong, good, or bad or anything, but it's just the motivation to get involved with fitness changes depending on the stage you're at in your fitness journey and your life journey and where you are and where you want to go. But I just kind of share a little bit of background for those of you who are tuning in. And is when I started fitness was back in the late 80s, again, right in the Hulk era, if you will. But what's motivated me is when I was in school, I was bullied in elementary school. That's when it started, and it continued on throughout junior high and that was a big motivation for me to want to kind of build up my body and hopefully, fend off the bullies, or at least be big and strong enough so that the bullies wouldn't bother me. And that was a major motivation. And I actually started off, wasn't even with weight training. It was started off with martial arts. So I joined it was a karate class, or technically it was a kung fu class. It wasn't karate, it was kung fu. But my dad and I, we joined that. And I did that for several years through elementary school, through junior high, and even into high school. I was doing that. And go along with that, I got involved with strength training. And I remember it was Christmas of 1990. I asked my folks if they would get me a home gym for my Christmas gift that year. And that's where I got bit by the iron bug, as they say. So they got me a York home gym, and myself and my dad, we set it up down in the basement, and he worked out with me, and we followed along with those little York workout wall charts that came with the home gym. Did a total body workout with that. And that was my humble beginning to the world of strength and conditioning, right? Was working out in the basement with my dad, and very fortunate that my dad was involved with that and then very supportive. I mean, he used to work out himself back in the day. He used to go to the local health spa, And to kind of show you how things have changed over the years, the gym that my dad worked at, this is back in the 70s. It was a co-ed gym, but they had alternate days for men and women. So one day the men were allowed to go in and work out. The next day the women were allowed to go in and work out. And they used to alternate it day for day. So my mom and dad used to work out at this health spa back in the 70s on alternate days because men and women weren't allowed to work out at the gym at the same time. Right. So kind of goes to show how fitness has evolved over the years. But that's what he did back in the day as a younger man. So he had a foundation of fitness, and he shared that with me when I was getting started as well, and really helped to lay that foundation. And then as I had a few years of training under my belt, I found out that we had local bodybuilding competitions. And I decided to sign up and register for one of our local bodybuilding competitions. It was the 1995 Newfoundland Provincial Championships. And I was totally green. I mean, I was working out from home into my basement gym, very crude, very basic. And the only thing I knew about bodybuilding at the time was from reading magazines and watching Pumping Iron. That was about it. I had no idea. And I just registered, showed up to that competition. And the cool thing about it is once you put yourself out there, people will sense that, and they kind of like take you under their wing. And that's what happened to me. So when I registered for the bodybuilding competition and got there, a lot of the more advanced bodybuilders, they seen me there. I mean, I was the youngest guy in the show, and they really just helped to coach me, show me like, this is what you do. This is, how the process works. And I got to become friends with some of those guys, and even met up with some of them at the public gym, because after that competition, I said, you know what, I got to expand my horizons here and get out around other people who are doing what I'm doing. So I decided to join the local gym and got working out with some of these guys, and they really helped to teach me, proper training techniques and show me how to get ready for competition, how to dial in my nutrition, how to optimize my training, all that kind of stuff. And it really just kind of cascaded and progressed over the years from there. But it was because I was willing to put myself out there, willing to register for that competition, willing to get around the more experienced bodybuilders, and willing to take their advice and learn from them. And I tell you, like, when you see anybody who's achieved any type of success, whether it is fitness success or sport success or music success or success in any area, it's because they're willing to put themselves out there and learn from others who've done what they want to do. Right? Instead of trying to stay at home and figure it out on your own. Like, that's the long, hard, slow way to figure anything out, is to try and just do it on your own. Get out there and learn from others, learn from their mistakes. And you're kind of indirectly doing that by being here, attending this video chat. Because I mean, you're learning from what we're sharing here as well. Right. And if you want to have a more interactive community, you can actually join us over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group as well. This is where a lot of guys share their progress, share their workouts, and you can ask questions and kind of keep that conversation going throughout the week. All right. So if you're on Facebook, make sure to check us out. Just do a search for Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding, and you can join us over there as well. All right. So let's see who we got there. We have Johnny's saying there, he says, I'm heading for fit for 60 or fit for nothing, fit for 60. You know what? I respect that, getting in shape now in your 60s. I mean, it's obviously there's different challenges. The older you get, the more you need to respect your body, the more challenging it is, but improvement is always possible. And, I've got several of my coaching students who are in their 60s right now. And one in particular is actually getting ready to do a bodybuilding competition next week. And that is Mike Brown. I've talked about Mike. I mean, Mike's been featured on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast several times. He's a guest on our podcast. And I just want to share. Let's just see here. Let's see if I can bring this up. Just to kind of give you some hope and to kind of show you what's possible. All right, I'm just going to share my screen here. Just give me a moment, guys. Right here, this is Mike's progress over the years. I mean, and to put this in perspective, Mike started working out at age 56, right? And now at age 62, or he's going to be 62. I think he's 61 right now, but he's going to be 62 within shortly. Anyway, he's in the best shape of his life, and you can see that progress is possible even in your 60s and beyond. Right? You know, it's really inspiring to see. In a second, I actually have a current picture, one that he. I just want to share that one as well. This is a really cool one. Let me share this one. This one was taken just recently, right here, and it's a good comparison, right? So here's Mike. I mean, at age 59 versus age 61, right? And I mean, you can see the progress that he's made. Now, for full transparency, I mean, he was in fantastic shape at 59. And again, he started working out at 56. So, I mean, he made a huge transformation, but he's continued to make progress in his 60s. And that's exciting to see. I mean, that gives me hope for the future right there. And the reason I wanted to share that is because we got Johnny there now. I mean, wanting to get fit after 60. Well, it is possible if you follow a proven system, trust the process, and refuse to quit. And that's the most important thing. You know, a lot of times people, they don't stick to a program long enough to let those changes happen. You know, they might start for a few weeks or a few months, and then if something derails or they get distracted or whatever, you know, the life hits, you know, the excrement hits the fan and something happens that derails your progress, then you fall off the rails and you just go back to square one, go back to your old habits again. But if you can stay the course and keep making progress, I mean, slow progress compounds over time. And the truth is, everybody makes slow progress. You know, I know we're so used to seeing these miraculous before and after transformations, but those before and after transformations, real before and after transformations, they take place over the course of years, not over the course of 30 days or 6 weeks or 90 days or whatever. Real transformation takes place over the course of years. And if you can think bigger, think like, not just where do I want to be next month, you know, in 6 months or even this time next year, like where do you want to be in 3 years, in 5 years, 10 years? And if you can make that change, you know, like you're at the fork in the road, like if you can start making progress in one direction versus sliding down the slippery slope of neglecting your health and fitness, that's where the changes really take place. And then over the course of, say, like 5 years or longer, people will be looking at you like, what the heck are you doing? What the heck are you taking? Like, well, what's your workout? What's your diet? Like, and thinking there's some miraculous change happening. And sure, it is miraculous when you look at the compounded effect over time, but it's being good enough consistently over that long period of time and having a proven system to follow that you can stay the course to make those changes reality. Right. And I mean, Mike's a prime example of that. And again, now next weekend, he's going to be hitting the stage for his second bodybuilding show. And I'm looking forward to following along with that journey and seeing how he does with it. We got Billy joining in. Welcome, Billy. Glad to have you joining us. All right, let's see what else we got there. We have Neil's a regular to our chat. Says we both share the similar intro. So let me rehash that again. We both share the similar intro of our fitness journey with our dad's guidance to work out. Need your help in convincing my 64-year-old dad to work out again. He prefers jogging nowadays. Well, you know what? That's great. I mean, first off, don't condemn cardio or condemn jogging. I mean, that's excellent, that the fact that he's still active. But you have to realize that strength training and cardio, they're very complementary, and we need both. I'm not of this school of thought where cardio is better than weights or weights is better than cardio. You need to have a combination of both, right? You need to have the cardiovascular health, the health of your heart and your cardiovascular system, your VO2 max. Obviously, jogging is a great way to develop that. But we also need to develop muscular strength and bone density. And that's a big component, especially as people get older, because we naturally lose muscle strength and bone density as we age, right? That's just a normal part of life. So if you continue with strength training, you can maintain or even gain and make progress in those areas versus a slow decline. So as far as motivating your dad, I mean, you could share some of those pictures that I shared earlier on with Mike Brown. And you can even share the PDF download that I have, the Muscle After 40 Blueprint, which shows several guys in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and even some in their 70s who've made amazing transformations. You can share that with them. Share some of the podcasts. We actually have a couple podcasts over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding podcast with some of my older coaching students. Mike Brown was one of them. Another one was Paul Miller. I mean, these guys have made amazing transformations starting later in life. So just sharing that, and hopefully that will help to inspire him. But in reality, like, you can't force somebody to do something, right? I mean, this is a common question that I get asked, with my coaching students, with online followers, is like, how do you motivate someone to get in shape? Like, how do I motivate my kids, or how do I motivate my wife, or how do I, in your case, motivate my dad? You really can't motivate anybody. Like, they have to want it for themselves. You can't want it more for them than they want it for themselves, right? But you can lead by example. You can help to inspire, and you can share stories and share resources of other people who are doing it. And maybe that will help to reignite that fire that he once had for strength training at the gym. But we really need folks on having, this is what I refer to like as total fitness. The total fitness bodybuilding is strength training, the conditioning, having the combination of both there, right? You don't want to just have one singularity of focus, because a common thing that we see, I mean, unfortunately in bodybuilding in general, is what's one of the biggest causes of death for a lot of bodybuilders is heart issues. I mean, even Hulk, Hulk Hogan, it was a cardiac event. I don't know the specifics of it. I'm just seeing the news story yesterday, the same as everybody else did, but they said it was a cardiac issue. So I'm assuming some sort of heart attack, heart issue, something along those lines was the cause of his passing. And we see that even with a lot of young guys these days, like young bodybuilders in their 30s and 40s, even though they're huge, they're ripped, they're jacked, they're strong, they have heart complications, and that could be the issue. So you don't want to neglect heart health. I mean, as far as overall health and fitness, VO2 max, improving that heart health and your cardiovascular fitness, that's the engine that runs everything. So, I mean, if you keep your heart healthy, that could serve to help you lead a long, healthy life in the future. But again, you don't want to neglect the strength either, right? Be that feeble, weak, frail old man. I mean, we don't want to go down that road. But that's what I'd recommend, Neil. I mean, share some of those podcasts. And if you just open up the playlist, or the podcast playlist over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding channel, you can scroll down and see some of those podcasts we did for over 60. Right, there's a couple of them there. I mean, if you want, I can share some links to your, if you want, you can message me. Just open up the description below. My email is down there. Just drop me an email at lee@leehayward.com, and I can send you the links to those podcasts if you want to share them with your dad. All right, who else we got there? We have Les joining in. Says, hello, Lee. I recently watched your old Overcoming Shyness and Social Anxiety video. Thank you for sharing your story. I struggle with going to the gym during peak hours due to anxiety, so it is helpful. Awesome. I appreciate you for sharing that. I do remember that video, and I've done several videos talking about shyness and anxiety, and how fitness can help to overcome them. And that was a big motivating factor for me as well. Like, I mean, I mentioned earlier, like, I was bullied in school, and that was kind of like a big motivation. But a lot of that bullying came from low self-confidence, low self-esteem. Like, when kids bully one another, like, you're at, especially in a school setting, like, you can sense it, right? Just on the subconscious level, like, you can tell if someone is, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to use the wrong word here, but if someone is insecure, if someone's not sure of themselves, if someone has low confidence, you can sense that. And I mean, bullies are just drawn to that. They just want to extract, just dig in and just kind of like poke the bear, if you will, right? Like, just really drive it in and cause trouble for that person. And I guess they get satisfaction out of it, because they're probably dealing with their own insecurities, and by making others feel even more insecure, somehow that helps to overcompensate for it. I mean, bullying is a complex issue, right? I mean, I know I'm generalizing it greatly here, but bottom line, you can see that with a lot of people. And the gym fitness, by building up your body stronger, it can also help to build up your confidence and your self-esteem and other areas. So it's like building your self-esteem through building up your body, and that was a big motivating factor for me as well. Now, it's not the end all be all, because you will see some bodybuilders and athletes who, I mean, they have incredible physiques, but still on that internal level, they're very shy, self-conscious people. And that's part of the reason what motivates them to build their physiques to such high levels. And it's almost like the bigorexia. You probably heard that term before, where people are never big enough. They're never strong enough. It's never good enough, even though they probably have a physique that's in the top 1%. Like they're bigger and stronger than most people at the gym. And like the average person looks at them and says, like, holy smokes, like you're huge, you're jacked, you're ripped, but they don't see it themselves. Like it's never good enough, right? And they're always striving for more. Got to be bigger, got to be stronger, got to be even more ripped, because they associate their identity with their physiques. And that's a problem in and of itself as well. But just want to share, like, building up your body can indirectly help improve your self-esteem, but you really need the full total package. And one of the things that I believe I mentioned in that video was building up my confidence through speaking skills. And I actually joined Toastmasters back in 2008 it was. And that really helped to kind of complete my personal development journey, because I was involved with bodybuilding all throughout from 1995 on upwards. I mean, I was competing in bodybuilding, so I was comfortable in my own skin, but I wasn't comfortable communicating or being around people. I was very shy and self-conscious in that area. And I found Toastmasters really helped to develop my voice, develop my confidence to speak in front of people, to do what I'm doing now, to just pop on a video camera or to get up on stage and speak. And I found that really helped to kind of complete my personal development journey. So you really need all aspects of it, right? Just like you need, the cardiovascular and the strength and conditioning, right? You need to have the body, but you also need to have the inner self-confidence and the voice as well to really overcome that shyness and anxiety. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. And another thing I want to just address there, I'm going to bring up your question again. You say you struggle with going to the gym during peak hours. Well, first off, I don't think anybody likes going to the gym during peak hours, because it's just busy and you're waiting on equipment. I mean, that's not fun. But the gym in general, I mean, it can be intimidating, especially when you're new to it. But you got to realize, like, everybody has to start somewhere, and every single person in there felt the same or still feels the same as what you're doing. And the truth is, most people in there really don't care what anybody else is doing, because they're so self-conscious and so concerned about what they're thinking about themselves. They really don't care what you're thinking or what you're doing, right? So that should be comforting in a way, because as weird as it is, a lot of times when you go to the gym, most of the time people aren't going to bother you or have any judgment towards you, because you're just in there working on yourself, same as they're in there working on themselves. And I mean, most people these days, they're in there, they got their headphones on or their earbuds in, they're just self-absorbed. Like they could care less what you're doing. So in a way, you're still by yourself in the gym, if that makes sense. Right. So being afraid of what others are thinking of you, the truth is they're probably not thinking of you at all. So, that could kind of be as a little, might be helpful in a way. All right. What else we got there? Let's see. Johnny saying, that's great inspiration. Thanks for sharing that. You're welcome. Says, I'm 52 now. I got 2 years to achieve fit for 60. I respect that. And you know something? Every time you get close to an age with a 0 at the end of it, like, that's a milestone year, and it really causes you to reevaluate where you're headed. Like, are you getting better? Are you falling behind? Are you getting worse? Like, what are some changes and course corrections you want to make? And that's exactly how I felt when I was approaching 40. Like when I was in my situation now, I mean, I became a father later in life. I mean, my son Harvey was born in 2016. Here I was, late 30s, not happy with the direction my health and fitness was headed. And of course, as a new parent, had the added responsibilities of a newborn baby and not sleeping well and waking up in the middle of the night to, crying and bottle feeding and diaper changing. And because you're not sleeping well, then of course that leads to less energy and less motivation and less drive. And then it was like, oh, I'm too tired to work out today. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm too tired to meal prep. Hey, I'll just order something or grab something quick and easy. I'll start again tomorrow, or I'll start again on Monday. And even though I knew I was making these poor decisions, they started to compound and compound. And then eventually it was like, who's this fat guy looking back at me in the mirror? And I didn't like the direction I was headed in. And that was my main motivation to turn things around. And I had that kind of same thing where the 4-0 was creeping up on me. And I said, you know what? I don't want to be a fat dad bod, out of shape, 40-plus-year-old, and then setting that example of being fat and out of shape. So my son grows up seeing a fat, out of shape dad. That was not, I said, I don't want to be there, right? I want to turn things around. So that was my motivation. And that's where the whole muscle after 40 came about, because that was my mantra. I said, you know what? I want to have muscle after 40. I want to get back in shape. And I did that. In fact, I'll just share it. I mean, I'll share my own muscle after 40 journey. Where was it? Here it is. I'm going to just share the screen here so you can just see those pictures to see what I'm referring to. This was my transformation. I'm just going to hide your comment there for a second now. So here I was, 39 years old, not happy with the direction I was headed in. And I said, you know what? I want to get my ass in shape. Right? I want to be fit after 40. And so I got to work. And like, this was my transformation right there. I mean, it's, and by most people's standards, or by most weight loss standards or whatever, I mean, it wasn't fast progress. Like, this is a 2-year transformation. But 2 years later, I mean, it was a night and day transformation. But when you look at, most people think, oh, I should hit that in 30 days or 6 weeks, or, some quick short-term shred. No, I mean, you can definitely make progress in the short term, but if you want to make a before and after transformation, again, you're looking at a year plus, right? Like, that's where most transformations take place, is when you look bigger and think, hey, I'm going to do this, where am I going to be in a year, 3 years, or even 5 years from now? Think bigger. And that's what I was doing. But again, that was my muscle after 40 transformation. And again, it came when, the age with the 0, right? The big 4-0 was approaching. I said, you know what? I want to turn things around. And that was my motivation for sure. So you can do the same thing at any age, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be 40. I mean, that was my transformation. And I'm sure as I start to get closer to 50, which I'm closer to 50 now than I am to 40. So, I mean, I'll probably be thinking of another, reevaluation, and probably another, where do I want to step things up to again, right? But use that motivation. I mean, any type of motivation, whether it's, a birthday, it's something coming up. I mean, take advantage of it, right? Use that fuel to, to motivate yourself to take action and make progress. All right. Who else we got there? We've got Marino joining in. Hello. Glad to have you joining us. We've got Ron saying hit workouts. Okay, and I don't know if that's a question, a comment, or what. If you want to elaborate on hit workouts, please do so in the comments, and we'll we'll take it from there. Let's see. Chris is saying, do you do workouts you don't enjoy, like yoga? I want to improve my flexibility and mobility, but I hate doing yoga and stretching and mobility exercises. I prefer weight training and cardio. Yes. All right. The reason you don't like it is probably because you're not doing it and you're probably not very good at it. But it's one of those things, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it and the more you're going to enjoy it. And I think that applies with any exercise. Like, if you take someone who's not exercising right now, they'll just say, I don't like exercise. I don't like going to the gym. I don't like I don't like anything. Right? I don't like lifting weights. I don't like cardio. I don't like stretching. I don't like none of it. I like sitting on the couch, eating Doritos and drinking beer. That's what I like. All right. So, if you don't do it, you don't like it. But once you start going to the gym, once you start building that habit and you start to get, you see some progress in that area, then you can acquire a taste for it, a liking for it, and you actually start to enjoy it. Right. That's probably what happened with weight training. Because I'm sure, before you started lifting weights, you probably weren't like, oh, I love lifting weights. Well, I mean, how did you know? You didn't even do it, right? Everybody had to start somewhere. But once you started in and you started making progress with weight training, then you say, hey, this is cool. I like this. I like the results. I like how my body feels. And you start to acquire a taste for it, a preference for it, right? Same with food, right? You can acquire a taste for food. So you acquire a taste for the exercise. The same is going to apply with yoga and mobility and flexibility work. I mean, if you're not good at it and you're not doing it now, of course you're not going to like it. But just introduce it slowly, even if you kind of have to force it at the initial phase. And what I mean by force it, I don't mean like force yourself into pain and discomfort, but give your like that extra drive. Like I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it. Right? I'm going to do it. And then the more you start to do it, and then once you start to see the benefits from it, then the more you're going to start to like it. And it's just going to be like this positive snowball, and it's going to become something that you actually enjoy. So right now, like I actually enjoy stretching. I enjoy yoga type exercises. I mean, I don't go to yoga class or anything like that, but I do stretch and I do different yoga poses and mobility exercises because I know how it benefits my workouts. And another thing that I want you to do is you got to link up the benefit to it and realize that by getting more flexible, by getting more mobile, it's going to indirectly help you with your weight training. It's going to help you to build more muscle. It's going to help to improve your range of motion. It's going to improve that mind-muscle connection. It's going to help to reduce the risk of injury. It's going to make your joints and tendons and ligaments and body feel more supple and better. So if you can link up the benefits to it, that's going to help to motivate you to actually want to follow through and do it. And then once you actually put it into practice and see those results, I mean, it's not going to be instantaneous. It's not like you're going to stretch one day and be, wow, I feel amazing, right? It's going to take some time, just the same as weight training. I mean, it's not like you go to the gym, you lift weights one day and like, holy shit, I just put an inch on my biceps. I put 50 pounds on my bench. This is awesome, right? It doesn't happen that fast. But if you keep weight training day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, it's like, whoa, you see the changes. Same is going to happen when it comes to flexibility and mobility work. Right? You're going to see those changes happen gradually over time. And then as those changes manifest, you're going to start to appreciate it and want to do it. And I can tell you right now, if I don't focus on flexibility, like I get a bit lazy with it and I don't do it, I notice it. And then when I go back to doing it, I was like, oh, this feels so much better, right? And I enjoy it. So how I incorporate it is, so first off, at the beginning of my workouts, I like to do some sort of mobility exercises for the muscles and the body parts that I'm going to train. So my typical warm-up routine, I start off with like 5 to 10 minutes of cardio just as a general warm-up to get a light sweat going, elevate my core temperature and get blood circulating throughout the body. Then I'll do some arm circles and deep knee bends and trunk rotations and neck rotations and just some general movement for the body to kind of warm up the joints, tendons, and ligaments. Then I'll do my weight training workout. Afterwards, then I'll take about 5 to 10 minutes and do some stretching, really prioritizing the muscle groups that I trained. So stretching out the various muscle groups. And I usually do like a total body stretch, but I'll place extra emphasis on the muscles that I worked during that training session. And then that's usually how I go about it. So it doesn't have to take a lot of time, right? It's like a couple minutes at the start of the workout, just some general mobility work. And then even if it's 5 minutes at the end, just stretching out the muscle groups that you trained. I mean, that can make a huge difference. And the thing is when you're doing those stretches after the workout, it actually feels really good because you're feeling like you're releasing some of that tension in the muscles and you really get that good mind muscle connection because I mean, you just pumped up the muscles and now that you're stretching them, it really brings more body awareness and you can feel areas that you're stiff and tight in and you kind of work through it and then you feel loose and limber afterwards. So it actually feels good and enjoyable. And I can tell you, I miss it. If I don't do it, I really do miss it, you know. So there's motivation there because I know how good it's going to make me feel afterwards. So I do it on a regular basis. And then sometimes if I'm extra busy or I want to do just some exercise on like a recovery day, I might just do some extra stretching and mobility work at home. Like I have a yoga mat that I keep in the living room. So like maybe if I'm watching a show on television or something like that, I'll roll out the yoga mat and just get down and do some stretches and mobility work while I'm watching a show. I mean, it's a great way to kind of make that more productive and get some exercise and get some good mobility and flexibility work in there. Okay. So it's good from an active recovery point of view as well. But yeah, I mean, initially you might not enjoy it, but the more you do it, the more you're going to enjoy it. And the thing is just start small and build it in there like a habit. You know, so like, it's going to take a bit of willpower at first, but once you get that momentum going and you start going through the motions, you're going to enjoy it more. And then eventually it's going to be something that you just do automatically without even thinking about it. Let's see what else we have here. Mike saying, thanks, you're welcome. Glad you got some value from it. Much appreciated. What advice do you have for abs? I find it creases my lower back as I have arthritis on 3 joints there. What do you mean by abs? Do you mean like ab exercises? Do you mean developing the abs? You find it creases your lower back. You know, if you want to elaborate on that, feel free to do so. Or for that matter, if you want, you can just send me an email as well. We can chat through email to kind of elaborate on this a bit more. You know, if you have, when it comes to back and forth conversation and questions like this, you know, feel free to reach out to me. Like down in the show notes below, I have a link to my email address, or you can message me through Facebook if you want to chat a bit more about this. But generally speaking, if you have like lower back issues, strengthening your abs and your core in general will help with that. Now, again, it depends on the situation and what kind of pain or discomfort you have, right? I mean, everybody's unique here. But when you're doing abdominal work, sometimes people find pain in the lower back, and it's usually a sign of a weak lower back. So some areas that I really like to focus on is not just abdominal work like crunches and sit-ups and leg raises. Like a lot of people focus on that because they think, hey, I want six-pack abs, I want to lose this belly, you know, so I'm going to just do a gazillion crunches and hopefully I'll lose my belly. That doesn't work. just for your information, in order to quote unquote lose the belly, you need to actually burn the fat that's covering the abs, the belly fat, so to speak, not just working the muscles underneath. But working the muscles underneath will help to strengthen the core. And you want to focus on all areas. So the abdominals, the lower back, as well as some rotational work for the obliques. So one that I'm a big fan of, especially for the lower back, is the back extension / hyperextension. You've probably seen these machines at the gym. I'll just show you what I'm talking about here. Now, if I open up Google Images here, I'll share that with you. Oh shit, just a second, guys. I'm clicking the wrong button here. Now I'm trying to share my screen and I popped open something else here. I actually opened up my Zoom meeting. I didn't mean to click Zoom. I meant to click share screen. Hang on. Share screen, back extensions. This one. If this is one of my personal favorite exercises, right? Hopefully that's coming through there and you can see what I'm talking about, right? Let's see if I can make that a little bigger, right? This exercise, the back extension. Now, there's a couple different variations of back extensions. You got the 45-degree angle one, which is the one right there. There's another one, which is kind of like a horizontal one, right? Similar to that movement right there, right? So hopefully you can see that. Either one is fine. If you have both variations, you can incorporate both. I find the horizontal one gives you a bit more of a peak contraction at the top, whereas the 45-degree angle one gives you a bit more of a stretch in the bottom. So both have advantages, and we have both options at our gym, and I will kind of like alternate them. So like one day I'll use the 45-degree angle one day I'll use the horizontal one. or maybe I'll even just do a set of each, you know, to kind of get both, because I find that that is one of the best exercises for the lower back. And you don't need to add any weight, especially if you have back pain. Just go through the motions with body weight. Really focus on getting a full stretch in the bottom, full peak contraction, and work on increasing the volume of sets and reps, and build that up. And this is really good for alleviating back pain and also just strengthening the lower back in general. And I know, like, back when I was competing in bodybuilding, this was one that I used to do a lot to really help build up those spinal erectors, to get that thick muscle in the lower back, which when you're dieted down, you get that Christmas tree look in the lower back spinal erectors. And I used to build up to doing 100 total reps of this with my workouts. So I break it up in like 4 sets of 25. And I'm telling you, if you get to the point where you can do high volume of hyperextensions like that, you're going to have a strong lower back, right? It was really good. So that will complement your core work. And then, of course, you can do some different trunk rotational exercises, and of course your standard ab exercises, whether it's like sit-ups and crunches and leg raises, or whatever ab machines you have at the gym. I mean, you can experiment and see what ones feel the best for you. But a lot of times, if you're having back pain, it's because you need to directly work that lower back area. And again, that's one of the best exercises I found for it. And of course, the stretching and the mobility that we talked about earlier, that can help with that as well. See what else. Ron saying, get in that yoga class, then Zumba next to get them hips moving. You know what? As silly as that sounds, you can actually get a lot of value from yoga classes. I remember back in the day, I used to train at the YMCA, and that was one of the nice things about the Y, is they offered a lot of different classes, and they did offer yoga classes. And I took up a few of them when I was training at the YMCA, and it really helped, you know, like having an instructor there to guide you through some of the different poses and stretches, you know, to point out what you're doing wrong and help with your technique. I mean, I know what, you know, a lot of guys say, oh, that's sissy, it's wimpy. And the truth is, you go to a yoga class, 90% of the people in a yoga class are women, right? You don't see a lot of guys in there, but it's actually worth it, you know, to get that one-on-one instruction with a good yoga teacher to help correct your form. I mean, I've done it. I mean, I even got, if you do a search, I have a video, just do a search for Lee Hayward yoga. It'll pop up there in YouTube. But, you know, it's actually very, very beneficial. I mean, it can be quite complimentary for a bodybuilding workout. Right. So I know a lot of guys shun it, think it's sissy, but I'm telling you, it is a lot harder than you think. And I've seen big burly bodybuilders and powerlifters who can't hold a yoga pose, like can't do a downward dog, or can't hold like a warrior pose without toppling over. So the thing that I like about yoga is it really focuses on working a lot of those stabilizer and balance muscles, that not just the main movers, you know, like the quads and the chest and the back, you know, the big power muscles, but it works a lot of those smaller stabilizer muscles to help support the bigger muscles. And if you get good at holding some of these different yoga poses, you'll feel so much more solid when you're doing your squats and your deadlifts and your presses and different movements, because you built that stabilization in all those other areas as well, right? And another thing that yoga is good for is teaching you to relax under tension, right? Because with bodybuilding, like we kind of doing, say, like a set of 10 reps, and you just grunt it out and you exert max effort and like empty the tank in that one set. But yoga, you're holding it for a prolonged period of time, and it kind of teaches you to relax under pressure, relax under tension. And that's something that a lot of people have trouble doing, you know, learning how to relax and endure discomfort, you know, how to become comfortable being uncomfortable. I know that sounds like a bit of an oxymoron there, but be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's something that yoga can teach you to do. And if you develop that skill and develop those muscles, it's going to have a huge impact in your overall fitness all around. Right. Let's see what else we got. Hey coach, glad to see you. Can women use creatine? Yes, men and women can use creatine. It's not a sex preference supplement. There's health benefits for both. Absolutely. In fact, Creatine is getting uh, a lot more notice in the health and wellness industry, not just the bodybuilding industry, because it's good for brain health and cognitive health, as well as, improving bone density. Like, there was actually a study done fairly recently on middle-aged women using creatine as a supplement to help improve bone density. And while it did show some, I mean, it wasn't massive changes, but there was positive changes in the bone density. It did have noticeable, significant improvements in brain health, cognitive function, and a lot of people are recommending it. Like, a lot of health and wellness gurus, not just, bodybuilding, sports performance, but just health and wellness in general, are recommending creatine as a mental and cognitive and just a general health supplement for people of all ages, men and women, especially seniors. Like, honestly, your grandmother should be taking creatine, right, to help improve mental and cognitive benefits. And it's shown to have help reduce the risk of like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and a lot of these mental and degenerative diseases. Creatine is very helpful from that point of view. So yes, women can certainly take it, young and old, and men can take it as well, young and old. See what else we got there. We have I can't pronounce that. Jabenja. Jabenja El Babi. All right. GA. I have adjustable Olympic dumbbells, but changing plates is a chore between sets. Is it okay to do single limb exercises and alternate arms instead of matching two dumbbells for all exercises? Yeah, you can certainly do single limb exercises, and there's actually benefits to doing single limb exercises. I have a full workout playlist on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel showing a single limb workout, and you can actually refer to that if you want. Show some good single limb exercises, and even if you have a fully stocked gym with fixed dumbbells and all that, and this isn't a chore, it's still beneficial to include single limb exercises, because a lot of times people find that one side of the body is stronger and more developed than the other. In fact, most people have strength imbalances between their left and right sides. Like, if you're right-handed, generally your right arm is going to be stronger than your left. We also have imbalances with our legs. Like, most people are not aware of it, but just the same as you have a dominant hand or dominant arm, you have a dominant leg as well, right? So by doing single limb exercises where you're working both sides independently can help to balance out those strength imbalances and create better overall development. But getting back to your question there about the changing plates, I can certainly relate to that. I mean, I trained at a home gym for years, and for the longest while, all I had was those adjustable dumbbells, either the ones where you had to literally screw on the clamps, or later on we got the spring loaded clamps where you could change the weights that way. But it is a pain in the butt. It really is. Now for my home gym, I acquired hex dumbbells, and I bought it up gradually over time, right? I didn't just go out and buy a whole gazillion set of dumbbells at once. I mean, obviously, if you have the budget to do so, I mean, it's the best way to go. But I acquired it gradually over time. And what I was doing, I know Walmart was selling them. That's where I ended up getting most of my hex dumbbells too, is Walmart was carrying the hex dumbbells, those solid iron dumbbells. And every time we go there, just picking up groceries and odds and ends and whatever, I'd always run down to the sports section and see, hey, what dumbbells do they have in stock? And say, oh, okay, they got a pair of 10s. All right, I'll grab those. Next time, oh, they got a pair of 20s. They got 30s. They got 40s. They got whatever. And over time, over the course of like maybe over the course of a year or so, I ended up acquiring a full set of dumbbells from 5-pounders all the way up to 40s in the hex dumbbells. So I have a nice little dumbbell rack set up in my home gym for that. And then for the bigger dumbbells, I would either use the adjustable ones like you're using there, or I would use, I also have a set of power blocks. And power blocks are good too, but they're a bit cumbersome, right? That's the only downside to the big power block dumbbells, is they're big and they're chunky. So, I mean, you can still do rows and presses and stuff with them, but they take up a lot more space than just a solid metal dumbbell, like either a plate loaded or a hex dumbbell. So for isolation exercises and smaller movements. That's why I like having the smaller dumbbells, because they're not as big and chunky. But that's something, I mean, it's an inconvenience, but there's pros and cons to both. I mean, obviously, if you're doing like a dumbbell bench press or whatever, it's nice to have a matching dumbbells so you can do it, or various movements like that. But you can certainly incorporate single limb exercises and get benefits as well. Right. The main thing is that you're training, right? That's the most important thing, right? And especially if it's for a home gym, like ideally, I know this isn't practical for everybody, but ideally you would have a gym membership along with some home gym equipment. And this is what I recommend for most of my advanced coaching students. And most of my advanced coaching students have this set up. Like the guys you're seeing who are making exceptional progress, they go over, above and beyond to set their environment up for success. So they have a home gym, which allows them to train when they're extra busy, or for those days when you can't make it to the gym, like maybe the gym is closed or there's something on the go, you can't get to the gym, there's a snowstorm, there's a pandemic, there's something happening where you can't make it to the gym. Well, you're not stuck. You still have some exercise equipment at home where you can train. And then on those days when you do have the time and you can get to the gym, then take advantage of the gym, right? Because when you go to a commercial gym, you have the wide variety of professional grade equipment, and hassles like switching out the dumbbells and all that is not usually an issue, because you got a full dumbbell rack that you can take advantage of, along with all the machines that you can take advantage of. And that's what I do. I mean, like I've got a home gym, which I do use, but most of my workouts are done at the commercial gym. And I just love the variety and the quality of the equipment that you have at the commercial gym. So if possible, get yourself a gym membership. And I mean, unless you're living like way out in the sticks in some rural area where like the closest gym is 50 miles away or something, most places have gyms readily available. Like, I mean, I'm just thinking like in my local area now, like there's several gyms that I could go to that are literally within a 10 or 15-minute drive of the house. Like I have a choice, and I don't live in a big city. I mean, I live in a just, relatively small town, but there's within a 15-minute radius of my house, 1, 2, 3, there's 5 gyms that I can think of that are within 15 minutes of where I live that I could go to. So like most places have multiple gyms available. And these days, like you can get gym memberships pretty damn cheap. I mean, from like, the Planet Fitnesses and the Anytime Fitnesses and those type of places, they got the cheap gym memberships. Now, the only problem with those places is they tend to be very crowded, and the clientele may not be the most serious gym goers. And then you might have the more serious like bodybuilding gyms or sports specific gyms. That's what I would recommend, like something along those lines. But hey, anything's better than nothing. But if you can have a gym membership along with your home gym, that would be kind of like stacking the deck in your favor, so you can get the best of both worlds. All right, let's see what else. We got Robert's joining in. Robert's a regular to our chat. He says, when I started with weights, all I had was 110 weight set from Sears, a booklet that came with it, and nobody to instruct me. I know exactly what you're talking about. What was it, like a York set? And was it the cement-filled weight plates? That's what the very first weight set that we ever had was, just that. It was a York cement-filled weight set. It's those plastic cement-filled weights. And they were huge. Like I remember the biggest plates were 25s, and those 25s were bigger than the 45s you see at the gym today. Like they were so thick and just chunky, because again, it's just filled with cement powder. That's what it was. So there wasn't a lot of resistance, but they took up a ton of space on the barbell. I mean, that's what I started off with, was those plastic cement filled York weights. And yeah, that was the cumbersome ones for sure. But hey, I mean, it worked, right? I mean, something's better than nothing, right? You can use what you have available. Who else we got there? Chris is joining in. Says, my sister was insecure about going to the gym because of fear of being judged. She said her friends from work told her the same thing that people aren't watching you. They're only concerned about themselves. But then she says that they're making fun of others. So there are people who judge others at the gym, unfortunately. And you know what? That's going to be there's truth to both. I mean, there's going to be some people who are in there just doing their own thing and they couldn't care less about who else is there. Quite honestly, that's me. Like when I'm at the gym, like I don't care who else is there, right? Like I'm there to do my workout and focus. That's my me time. Like I'm not in the gym people watching, right? Like I'm too worried, or I'm not worried, but I'm too concerned to get my own workout in. Like that's what I'm there for. I'm there to train me. I'm not there to watch and criticize other people. So most of the people at the gym are going to be like that. Sure, you're going to probably get some people who are in there to people watch and to bitch and complaining, but like that's everywhere. Like, man, heck, you go to the grocery store, there's probably going to be people making fun of you behind your back saying, oh, look at the outfit that person's wearing, or look at those shoes, they look ridiculous, or look at that stupid hat that person's wearing, or oh, look at that person's driving a shitty car, or that person's driving a nice car. Or people are going to talk about people. Like that happens wherever you go, whether you go to the grocery store, you go to the mall, you go to work, or you go to the gym. People are going to be talking about people. That's just what people do. People are chatterboxes. They talk. And who cares? Like real, like are you going to stop going to the grocery store because you're afraid someone's going to talk about you? Like, oh, look at that person. Oh, look what they put in their shopping cart. Ooh, look at them. Ooh. Or no, right? You don't. It doesn't stop you from doing anything else in life. So why would it stop you from going to the gym? Right? The reality there, it's when people make up excuses, it's just a polite way of saying like I don't want to, or I'm uncomfortable. But you just got to get over it, right? You really do. You just once you get going to the gym, and this for anybody who's watching this and they're insecure about going to the gym, the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. And this applies with everything. Like you think of a student going to school, like day one of going to school, or day one of going to a new school. It's uncomfortable. You're nervous. You're wondering what other people are going to think of you. Like who's going to be there? What's going to happen? But you go anyway because, well, first of all, going to school is expected of you and it's required by law and everything else. But you do it, right? Same with going to your job, right? There's going to be people talking about you, and you're going to be under pressure and all that, but you do it anyway. Same with the gym. Like, sure, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but you do it anyway. Because it's going to be better for you in the long run. I mean, sitting at home by yourself, drowning your woes in a tub of ice cream while binge watching Netflix, like that's not helping anybody. Certainly not helping you, right? You got to get out of your comfort zone, right? Be comfortable being uncomfortable, as I mentioned before. And the more you do that, the more you're going to expand that comfort zone. And then the more of life you're going to be able to appreciate and enjoy. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate you for sharing that. I mean, it is true. I mean, there are always going to be people talking about others behind their backs, but like that's happening regardless, right? Every time, every situation, there's people doing that. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Got a question here. I hurt my shoulder, but I don't want to stop training. I try not to irritate it, scared to break the cycle. All right. First off, if you do have an injury or something, it depends on what you've got done. I mean, like you hurt your shoulder. I mean, like that could be, you could have tore something, you could have pulled something, strained something. Like we really, need to know what you did there to kind of give you more specific questions as for how to deal with it. But I'm just going to talk about this in general. Even if you have something that's causing pain and discomfort, it doesn't mean you can't work out, right? Like if you have your shoulders bothering you, then do other exercises. Like you can probably still train your legs. You can probably still train your core. You can probably still do some arm exercises that don't aggravate your shoulders. Like there's probably things that you can do to work around that shoulder and still keep active. You can still do cardio. Like they're focus on what you can do, not getting obsessed about what you can't. And this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine is like people all the time say, well, I can't work out because I got a bad knee. well, do something that doesn't work your bad knee. Like do upper body instead, or do other exercises, or find movements that are more comfortable or lower impact that allow you to work and hopefully strengthen and rehab that bad knee, versus just wallowing and saying, oh, I got a bad knee, I can't do anything. Like doing nothing rarely makes anything better, right? Like you need to actually work it, you need to rehab it. And like if you go to physiotherapy, right? Like let's just say you go physiotherapy for your shoulder. They're just not going to say, "Oh, don't do anything. Hopefully it'll get better on its own." No, they're going to put you through some rehab exercises, some light, gentle exercises, and then have it built in a progressive overload fashion, so that you start off very small and easy, doing gentle movements, and then gradually over time build up the intensity and the difficulty, so that your body adapts and gets stronger. Right. So you got to work it in order to build it stronger. So sitting on your duff doing nothing doesn't help. So again, kudos to you. I mean, you don't want to stop training. So, I mean, I respect that. But one thing that you can look into as well is try and see what you can do to rehab that shoulder, and trying to, if you're not sure, it'd be worthwhile to go to like a physiotherapist or someone preferably who works with athletes, to see if you can get that one-on-one diagnosis where they can take you through different movement patterns. You can explain your situation, and hopefully they can give you some specific strategies to help you with that. I mean, I've done that in the past when I've had injuries. Like I remember several years ago, I tore my biceps. I actually tore both biceps. And I remember the first time that I tore it, I went to a physiotherapist, and I mean, he gave me some really good advice. And luckily, the guy that I was working with, I mean, he worked out himself. He was used to working with athletes. He was also a former athlete himself, right? So he had that background. Like he could, we were speaking the same language, right? And I remember also I had some neck issues a while back, and I went to a chiropractor who was also an athlete. Like he was a baseball coach, and he trained himself. But because he had that athletic background, it was really helpful. And he could really help me and guide me in some situations that I was dealing with. So if possible, I would recommend checking out a physiotherapist to see what they can offer in terms of advice and suggestions on exercises that you can do to help with your rehab. That's something that would certainly be advantageous. But bottom line, if you can't work certain areas or you can't do certain exercises, it doesn't mean you have to stop, right? Like you can work around it. And I mean, I've done that myself. Like when I've had injuries in the past, I'd always say like, okay, I can't do this, but what can I do? And then focus on doing that instead. And I know that applied with my wife as well. Like a few years back, she broke her wrist. And obviously with her arm in a cast and the wrist broke, she couldn't do a lot of upper body exercises, but she still trained legs. She still did core work. She still did cardio. And she still managed to do some upper body things that didn't require her wrist or gripping. Like prime example, the old pec deck machine, the old like butterfly pec deck. That was one exercise that she could do for her upper body because it didn't require any gripping or wrist activation. You just put your hands on the pads, or your forearms on the pads, I should say. So she did that. And we also did it in the reverse fashion to work the rear delts and the upper back. So, and also the side lateral machine, with the pads that you didn't need to grip the handles with. So there were some upper body exercises that you could still do even with a broken wrist. But the bulk of her workouts involved legs, core, and cardio. And I mean, she did not take any time off during that whole rehab. Like it took whatever it was, 6 weeks. Her arm was in a cast in order for the bone to heal. During that entire time when she was in a cast, I mean, she still went to the gym on a regular basis, and didn't skip any workouts. So you can still make it work even if you have injuries, right? And what you're going to find too is the older you get, the more things are probably going to have a bit of aches and pains. Like most people, especially if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s or beyond, like you're not going to be feeling great all the time. Like you're probably going to have a bit of aches and pains here and there. Learning how to work around those aches and pains and do so in a smart fashion, work within your pain threshold, is something that's a skill you're going to have to develop. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And then also it's indirectly the better shape you're going to get in. So there's be less aches and pains in the future. All right, let's see what else. We're going to get ready to clue this up shortly because we've been going on almost an hour and 15 minutes. Whew. I normally you do these shows for about an hour, but this one's a bit longer. One more question. Adil's got a question here. This is a good one. Is it best to stay lean all year round or bulk and cut for optimal health and lean muscle mass? That's it depends on what your definition of lean is, right? Lean by the average person standards, yes. Lean by bodybuilding standards, no. Because lean by a bodybuilding standard is probably like single digit body fat, like getting stage shredded. That's not something that is sustainable year round, at least not for most people. I mean, there are a few outliers who can maintain single digit body fat and not feel like they're starving or depriving themselves or suffering to do so, but most people just don't have the genetics to maintain single digit body fat without, extreme calorie restriction. So where I would say lean, if your lean is probably between 10-15% body fat lean, that is something that would be healthy. At least sub 20. Like 20% body fat should be like the upper limit for most guys in terms of where you should be in terms of optimal health and fitness. Once you start going beyond the 20% body fat, then you're just going to start to run into some of the health problems. I mean, it's carrying around extra weight, it's extra stress on the body, extra stress on the joints. It's just literally excess weight at that stage. But somewhere in that mid-teens, that range, say like the 15% body fat, staying in that range year round would certainly be healthy. And even from the bulk cut phase, like when you're looking at bodybuilders, when they cut, okay, they diet down into the single digits and get show ready, stage shredded and all that. That's only for the short term. I mean, that's to peak for a competition or peak for a photo shoot or something. And then in their off season, they'll probably bulk up to somewhere around 15% body fat. But most of them are not purposely going beyond that. Now, you will see some amateur bodybuilders do that because they're like on and off. And I was guilty of this myself. Like back in my bodybuilding days, I used to okay, I'm putting the blinders on. It's boiled chicken and broccoli. It's 2 hours of cardio a day. It's 6 days a week in the gym. Burn the candle at both ends. Suffer it out. I'm going to just put all my eggs into this basket of getting as shredded as I can for the competition. But as soon as that competition was over, it's like, okay, where's the ice cream shop? Where's the pizza place? Where's the buffet? Where's all the junk that I've been craving in the months of dieting? And then I go and start eating all that crap. And then it only took a few weeks of falling off track in order to start getting fat again. And then I'd be from one extreme to the other. And then I'd try and justify getting fat by saying, well, I'm bulking up now because it's the off season. That wasn't bulking up. That was just getting fat, right? And that's not a healthy approach. I certainly would not recommend that for optimal health or fitness. Absolutely not. When it comes to the difference between dieting for fat loss and then I guess dieting to sustain a good healthy physique, like the habits, the food choices, things are very similar. Like there's not a lot of difference between dieting for fat loss and then dieting for lean gains. The only difference is you bump up the portions so that you're no longer in a calorie deficit, but you're either at a maintenance or very slight surplus, right? It's not boil chicken and broccoli and starving myself, and then it's eat whatever the hell I want, seafood, eat food. Right? Like it's not that extreme. And I'm guilty of that because I used to do that in the past, right? I used to diet down on these crazy strict diets. And then when my contest was over, I go eat whatever the heck I wanted, right? So it was like black and white, all or nothing. And nowadays, I don't go to that all or nothing extreme. I try to keep that sound balance, that sustainable approach year round. And the thing is once you get into the rhythm and the routine of eating consistent, eating healthy foods that nourish the body on the cellular level, not just provide empty calories, you actually feel so much better and you crave that stuff. Like I actually crave lean protein and vegetables and good quality complex carbohydrates and foods that are nourishing. I crave that because one, I've come to acquire a taste for it, but I know how good it's going to make me feel. Whereas if I go eat like burger and fries and fast food and stuff like that, I mean, it may taste good in the moment. And actually, that's debatable because I really don't like the taste of fast food. Like the thought of going to McDonald's, just, I mean, blah. I have zero desire for that. I mean, I think I would rather sit down and eat a garden salad with a chicken breast than go over and eat McDonald's, right? Like that just, I've kind of got myself turned from it. But I know if I ate that, I would be burping and farting and gassy and feel sluggish for like a day or so afterwards. Like it would just be gumming up the system, if you will. It's just like putting, watered down gas in the tank, if you will. Like I know I'm not going to run or feel optimal if I eat that crap. Whereas if I eat the nutrient dense foods, the foods that are going to nourish me on the cellular level, I'm going to feel good afterwards. And that's how you got to like wire yourself around nutrition is not just what's going to taste good in the moment, but what's going to make you feel good afterwards and what's going to help to fuel your workouts and make you feel healthy and fit and energetic, not what's going to make you feel fat, bloated and sluggish and burp and fart. Right. So I've kind of got myself geared around that. And that applies with a lot of things. Like even when it comes to like alcohol consumption, like I don't drink alcohol anymore. And the reason is because, okay, it might make me feel a buzz and feel good in the moment, but I know I'm going to feel like shit the next day. And the next day is going to be a write-off. And I'm not willing to get a few hours of a buzz and woohoo for having a total day of write-off and a hangover the next day. Like the trade-off is not worth it to me. So I always think like, what's going to make me feel good in the future? And then I base my decisions off that. Right. So when it comes to staying lean year round, I mean, that's what's going to feel good. Like purposely getting fat or gaining weight, like it doesn't feel good. And nowadays we're seeing a change in the whole idea of bulk and cut. And really what we want to focus on is not even bulking or cutting at all. It's just eating enough so that you're not depleting yourself, right? Still eating clean, natural, unprocessed foods, still eating as if you were cutting, but just eat higher portions so that you're not depleted and you actually have energy to fuel your workouts and feel good and feel strong. And that's the optimal way. And I mean, that's what I've done with a lot of my coaching students, like the ones I showed before. Like prime example, I shared the results of Mike Brown, right? I'll just share that once more because I mean, it's a real world example that I just love to share. Right here, a second now, that picture here. I mean, this is Mike's progress right here. And I mean, he did not do, the traditional bulk. Like he just focused on eating the same good quality foods, the lean protein, the complex carbs, the veggies, eating consistent meals throughout the day. And he just increased the portions. Like that's how he filled out his frame with lean mass. He filled out his frame by just staying full on good quality foods. Like there was none of this purposely bulk and cut, like gaining a pile of excess weight and then having to diet it back off again. Like he's focused on just adding lean mass over time. And again, it's a slow, gradual transition here, but that's what we focused on there. So there was no real bulk and cut in the old school traditional sense. It was focusing on a lean gain body recomp by just eating more natural unprocessed foods and focusing on losing the fat first. Because again, that was Mike's building phase, but I just want to share, where's Mike's, because Mike was quite heavy before that journey. Let me just see. Yeah, here's a great picture to kind of put things in perspective when he started. I just want to share it again to put things like this was, here's a before and after right there. So back in 2020, that's when he was soft, had some extra belly fat there, really wanted to focus on trimming down. And again, we didn't go through the traditional bulk and cuts. We focused on first losing the body fat. So he was in a calorie deficit, focused on losing that body fat first. Once he got himself down to a lean body fat that he was comfortable with, then we focused on gradually increasing the portions and increasing the quality and the quantity of that food. So more protein, more carbs, more vegetables, more natural unprocessed foods, so that he could fill out his frame with lean mass while still staying lean in the process. Right. So again, it wasn't about the old school bulk and cut. Right? I refer to it as a lean gain body recomp. I know some people refer to it as main gaining. I think that's a term I've heard a lot of people say. But the old school bulk and cut approach, where you purposely just eat a bunch of excess calories to try and force your body to gain weight, that's kind of like an outdated approach, because the problem with that is when you bulk, sure, you can gain a lot of weight, but it's not quality weight. A lot of it is just excess body fat. And sure, you're going to fill out your frame and fill out your clothes and stuff, but it's not quality. It's just excess weight. It's this blubber. And then the problem is, once you got all that extra blubber, when you switch to cutting, then you got to diet extra hard, extra long, extra strict in order to lose all that fat. And in the process, very often you sacrifice some of the lean mass that you gain. So it's this catch-22, right? You eat so much to try and gain muscle that you gain fat. And then when you switch to cutting, you got to diet so hard that to lose the fat, they end up losing some of the muscle. So it's better off to make slower gains and focus on like quality instead of just trying to make this massive transition, right? So slowly lose the fat, get yourself down to a comfortable body fat that you can sustain, and then slowly increase the calories so that you fill out your frame with lean mass without going through that yo-yo, up, down, bulk cut, up, down, up, down. And then that's a healthier approach. And it's also less stressful on the body, because when you go through the extreme ups and downs, like people, like prime example, back in my bodybuilding days, my weight used to sometimes fluctuate up and down as much as 50 pounds from pre-contest to off season. Like, that's not healthy. That's not healthy on the heart or their blood pressure or anything. Like, going through those ups and downs, like, you would feel it. But if you can stay lean and then just gradually eat enough so that you're no longer in a deficit, you're either at maintenance or just a very slight surplus, you can use that extra food then to fuel your workouts, feel strong in the gym, and then let your body grow versus trying to force it to grow. Right? And that's a much more sustainable and healthy approach long term. All right. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to get ready and clear this up. I know this was a lengthy chat, but I enjoyed doing it. Hopefully you got some value from it. And again, just want to give you a heads up that this week I got a brand new podcast coming out, and you definitely want to check that out. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Podcast and go back and check out some of those other episodes there, because this is where I really like to do a deep dive into these topics that are going to help you with reaching your health and fitness goals. All right, so have yourself a great one, and I will talk to you same time next week. We'll be going live at 5 on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel and the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. Live at 5 every Friday. All right, take care, guys. Have a good weekend. Over and out.